Hello again from Kampala in Uganda. It is great to see you here today. Not too long before the entire world went into lockdown, back when we could meet together to study the Bible, I had the wonderful privilege of leading a study about a man called Gideon. We chatted a lot about his life and what we could learn from it. And as I read through his story again in my daily Bible reading just a few days ago, I was reminded of a point that had really hit home for me. So Gideon had seen God move in incredible ways. The invading army of the Midianites was described as being as thick as locusts. Their camels could no more be counted than the sand on the seashore, says Judges 7 verse 12. Gideon had seen this overwhelmingly enormous army defeated, and so far at this point in the story, none of his men had even needed to use a weapon. The army had been so confounded by their fear that they basically slaughtered themselves after Gideon surrounded them with his 300 men. It's an amazing story of God coming through for his people, of a truly miraculous rescue from a situation that Gideon and his men could never have orchestrated themselves. But after all of this happens, well, Gideon, he calls in some extra Israelites to help him to hunt down some of the Midianites who've managed to escape. And these Israelites, they get a little bit annoyed at Gideon. Why have you treated us like this? Why didn't you call us when you went to fight Midian? They challenged him vigorously. It's what Judges chapter 8 verse 1 tells us. And this is Gideon's response. What have I accomplished compared to you? Aren't the gleanings of Ephraim's grapes better than the full grape harvest of Abiezer? God gave Oreb and Zeb, the Midianite leaders, into your hands. What was I able to do compared to you? At this, their resentment against him subsided. Now, at first reading, I feel like this looks like a very diplomatic situation to a difficult problem. But what I found interesting is the subtle shift in Gideon's language. Up until this point, he'd been quick to give God the glory for all the impossible victories that he'd had his hand in. But now he says, what was I able to do compared to you? What have I accomplished? Instead of giving God the credit for his achievement, he turns the focus onto himself. How quick we are to do the same. When we have nothing, when there is no hope for victory, when the odds are stacked against us, we come to God and say, wow, I literally can't do this without you, God. So you're going to need to do a miracle and step into this situation. But what happens when he does that? How quickly do we look at what we achieved through that difficult time and say, hey, look, I did okay there. Look what I accomplished. Yeah, I'm pretty good. As you read on in Judges chapter 8, Gideon goes on to do some very questionable deeds against towns of Israelite people after they wouldn't aid him and his hungry men. He even slaughters all of the men in one particular town, far over and above the original threat he made to them when they wouldn't help him. As soon as we stop acknowledging God's influence in the situations in our lives, it is really easy for us to get off course. We start making decisions that maybe look good to us, make us look pretty impressive, or that feel like they're going to benefit us. But in the long run, those things may not be the best for our own situations, and and for the people around us. We should not ever deny that God has used us to achieve a victory in this situation. We shouldn't deny that we have skills and talents. I recorded another video on that topic about the importance of loving ourselves and recognizing the good things that God has put inside of us. But it's all too easy for us to take all of the credit for every achievement onto ourselves and forget that moment where we were crying out to God in desperation because we didn't know how to get through a difficult time. God is there for us always. He's there in the hard moments. He's there in those times of battle. And he's there in the victory as well. He is always working on our behalf, working all things together for our good, as the Bible tells us. Don't deny the good things that God has given you and the good things that you have achieved in your life. You don't have to say, oh, no, that wasn't me. But remember to give credit where it's due and acknowledge that God is working through you in every area of your life. Keeping God at the center of our thoughts is the very best way to help us stay true to the path that He has in mind for us. And that path is absolutely the very best thing that we could ever dream of for our own lives, no matter how it looks on the surface. I encourage you today just to think about some of the good things that have happened in your life, the good things that you have achieved, and give glory to God for those things, for giving you the gifts and the talents that you use to achieve them, for helping you when the road was dark and everything seemed heavy and difficult. He is a good God, and He is working good things in you and through you. Just acknowledge His influence in every area of your life. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.